Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever heard tell of a house so steeped in history that the spirits of the past just refuse to leave? Well, down in Frankfort, Kentucky, there's a place called Liberty Hall where the air's thick with more than just old stories. It's full of hauntings. From a mournful gray lady drifting down the staircase to a ghostly British soldier peering through the windows, this old mansion's got tales that'll chill you straight to the bone. So pull up a chair, friend, and let me tell you about one of the most haunted houses in the bluegrass. Howdy, y'all, and welcome to Kentucky Melody, where the beauty, history, and mysteries of Kentucky come alive. From breathtaking destinations and local adventures to spine-tingling tales of the supernatural, we're here to celebrate everything that makes the bluegrass state unforgettable. Whether it's exploring scenic trails, uncovering hidden gems, or diving into ghostly legends with our scary stories from Kentucky podcast playlist on YouTube Music, we've got something for everyone. So grab a seat, hit that subscribe button, and join us on a journey through the stories and sights that make Kentucky a place like no other. Let's get started. You never know what wonders or spooks we'll find next. Well, let me spin you a tale about Liberty Hall, a house as grand as it is ghostly, sitting right in the heart of Frankfort, Kentucky. Built back in 1796 by Senator John Brown, this mansion's walls ain't just holding up bricks, they're holding a heap of history. Now, John Brown weren't just any old feller, he was one of Kentucky's first U.S. senators, a man of vision who wanted a home that'd stand as a symbol of his success and the promise of the new frontier. John Brown picked a prime spot in Frankfort, sitting near the Kentucky River, to build his dream home. Liberty Hall was one of the first brick houses in the area, and it was designed in the Federal style, a real fancy way to say it was classy but simple. Back then, building something like that took time and a whole lot of work, with materials coming in from across the region. When it was done, Liberty Hall stood proud with its symmetrical design, grand Palladian windows, and wide hallways. It was more than just a home. It was a gathering place for the movers and shakers of the time. Folks like Aaron Burr and the Marquis de Lafayette even stopped by, adding to the house's reputation as a center of influence. Now, John Brown wasn't just sitting pretty in his big old house. He was a key figure in Kentucky's statehood and early politics. He and his wife, Margaretta Mason Brown, raised their family in Liberty Hall, including their sons, Mason and Orlando. The Browns were deeply involved in local affairs, building schools, running businesses, and shaping the town of Frankfort. But life back then weren't all sunshine and roses. Tragedy struck when Aunt Margaretta Varick, Margaretta Brown's aunt, passed away unexpectedly while visiting the family. Her death in the house planted the seeds for one of Liberty Hall's most famous hauntings, the Gray Lady. The house stayed in the Brown family for generations, witnessing wars, political turmoil, and the growth of Frankfort from a frontier town to the state capital. By the 20th century, Liberty Hall was showing its age, but the Brown family recognized its significance and began restorations to preserve its legacy. In 1937, the National Society of the Colonial Dames of America took over, working to restore Liberty Hall to its former glory. It became a museum, opening its doors to folks wanting to step back in time and learn about Kentucky's early days. Today, Liberty Hall stands as a symbol of Kentucky's history, drawing visitors from all over. The house is packed with artifacts from the Brown family's time, including original furniture, portraits, and documents. The gardens, carefully restored, give a glimpse into the kind of beauty folks back then valued. But what really keeps folks coming back ain't just the history, It's the hauntings. The Gray Lady, Madame Rosa, and the British soldier make sure this ain't just another museum. Ghost tours and spooky events bring the past to life in ways that give folks goosebumps. Liberty Hall ain't just a place with walls and a roof. It's a living, breathing piece of Kentucky's soul. It tells the story of ambition, resilience, and mystery, all wrapped up in one grand old mansion. If you ever find yourself wandering through Frankfort, stop by and soak it in. Who knows? You might just feel a chill or catch a glimpse of the past walking right by you. Now, let me tell you about the most famous ghost that calls Liberty Hall home, the Gray Lady. Folks say she's the restless spirit of Margaretta Varick, the aunt of John Brown's wife, Margaretta Brown. Back in the summer of 1817, Aunt Varick made the long journey from New York to visit her niece in Frankfort, but tragedy struck just 3 days after she arrived. She took ill real sudden-like and passed on July 28, 1817, at the age of 73. No one ever figured out exactly what caused her death. They laid Aunt Varick to rest in the family cemetery right there on the property, but later on, her grave got moved to the Frankfort Cemetery. Trouble is, they didn't keep proper records of where she was reburied, so no one knows exactly where she ended up. Some folks think that's why her spirit can't rest. She's stuck wandering, trying to find her place. The first time anyone laid eyes on the Gray Lady was in the 1880s. Mary Mason, Mame, Scott, John Brown's great-granddaughter, had just come home from finishing school. Over 3 nights in a row, she woke up to see a tall figure dressed in gray standing at the foot of her bed. When she told a family friend about it, they just shrugged and said, "Well, sounds like old Aunt Varick's up to her tricks again." Since then, plenty of folks have seen her. Another descendant, Margaretta Brown Barrett, swore she saw the Gray Lady gliding down the grand staircase. Mary Gunn Brown, the wife of one of John Brown's grandsons, said she ran into the Gray Lady in the back bedroom, the very spot where Aunt Varick passed away. And then there's that eerie photo from 1965. Someone snapped a picture of the staircase, and when it got developed, there was an unexplained figure standing there. Folks took one look and said it was the Gray Lady herself. To this day, people still catch sight of her, quiet and mournful, as if she's keeping watch over the house, or maybe just trying to find her way back to her final resting place. Now, here's another haunting tale tied to Liberty Hall, and this one's about a Spanish opera singer folks call Madame Rosa. Way back in 1805, Madame Rosa traveled all the way from New Orleans to Frankfort, likely bringing her fine voice and charm with her. While she was in town, she attended a big old party at Liberty Hall where the wine was flowing and the music was playing. Folks say she stepped out into the garden during the festivities, maybe for a breath of fresh air or a quiet moment. But here's where things take a dark turn. She vanished. One minute, she was part of the lively crowd, and the next, she was gone without a trace. Some folks reckon she might have been snatched away, taken by someone with ill intent. Others whisper that she may have wandered too close to the Kentucky River and met her end in its cold waters. No one ever really knew what became of her. Over the years, though, folks have reported seeing her ghostly figure wander in the garden at Liberty Hall. She's described as a dark-haired woman, her face twisted with fear, her mouth open in what looks like a silent scream. It's like she's stuck in the moment of her disappearance, replaying her terror over and over. To this day, her spirit lingers, a mournful presence in the beauty of the garden, reminding folks that not all tales have a happy ending. Whether you believe she's searching for peace or just reliving her last moments, Madame Rosa's story sure does send a shiver down your spine. Now, let me tell you about another ghostly tale from Liberty Hall, this one involving a British soldier from the War of 1812. Folks say this spirit's been seen wearing a full redcoat uniform, his proper British attire, making him stand out like a sore thumb here in Kentucky. The eerie part? He's often spotted peering into the ground floor windows, especially the front parlor, like he's looking for something, or someone. The story goes that this soldier once visited Liberty Hall during his time in Frankfort and fell head over heels for a cousin of the Brown family who was visiting the house. Now, whether it was love at first sight or a romance that never got to bloom, no one knows for sure. But something must have happened to keep him tied to this place, because his spirit's been seen gazing longingly into the house, like he's still searching for that cousin he once loved. He don't seem like a scary ghost, more like a sad one, lingering outside the windows as if hoping to catch a glimpse of the past. Folks who've spotted him say there's a kind of melancholy about him, like he's caught between worlds, stuck in a time when love slipped through his fingers. Whether it's true love or just a figment of legend, his presence adds one more layer of mystery to the already haunting history of Liberty Hall. Ever since Liberty Hall opened its doors as a museum, the Gray Lady's been making her presence known to all kinds of folks, visitors, workers, even the volunteers who help keep the place running. She's got her favorite spots, you know. Folks often catch a glimpse of her in the back bedroom where she passed on, or gliding down the grand staircase like she's still got business to tend to. Some say they've seen her standing in that big Palladian window, her gray figure framed by the light. Her appearances have become such a regular occurrence that she's now the most famous ghost tied to Liberty Hall's long history. With all these stories, it's no wonder Liberty Hall's haunting reputation has turned it into a magnet for ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts. They even host an annual event called Liberty Halloween, where brave souls can wander through the mansion, learning about its eerie past and maybe catching a ghostly glimpse for themselves. The Gray Lady's tale has also been featured in books, podcasts, and documentaries, spreading her story far and wide and cementing Liberty Hall as one of Kentucky's most haunted landmarks. Though these ghostly tales go back to the 19th century, they still captivate imaginations today, drawing both skeptics and believers. Whether you think it's just a bit of folklore or believe in spirits lingering on this earth, there's no denying the stories of the Gray Lady, the Spanish opera singer, and the British soldier add a touch of mystery to the rich history of Liberty Hall. It's a place where history and hauntings walk hand in hand, reminding us that some stories never fade away. They just keep on living. What do y'all think about the stories we've shared? Have you ever visited Liberty Hall or heard tales about the Gray Lady, the British soldier, or Madame Rosa? Maybe you've got your own theories about these hauntings, or even a spooky experience from right here in Kentucky. We'd love to hear from you. Drop your thoughts, questions, or stories down in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going and see what eerie insights or wild ideas y'all can bring to the table. Who knows, your story might just inspire our next video. Thanks for joining us on this wild and spooky ride through Kentucky's haunted history. We ain't done yet, so make sure y'all come back for the next video. We've got even more eerie tales and local legends waiting to give you chills. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's lurking just round the corner. We'll see you next time, unless the Gray Lady gets to you first. Stay curious, stay spooky, and remember, you never know what might go bump in the night.